I've just heard something disturbing in my ear, and it says Karen is playing table tennis. He is playing table tennis.
I am indeed, Stephen. It's a fierce game. I'm trying to beat Arjun here in high heels, and as you can see, we're being analysed.
Got high
the
heels
data
on.
has been taken by IBM. I do. It's a bit of a limiting factor, I've got to say. I think we've done plenty of things on camera. We haven't done ping pong, table tennis in high heels before. And the problem, as you can see, Arjun is catching up. I did have a lead. We both had a misspent youth, and clearly we spent a lot of time at table tennis. So far, I seem to be beating him. My ball speed is faster. My numbers are better. You can say something,
It's
Arjun.
fierce, and I'm really under the cosh here to catch up with Karen with that incredible ball speed. She won another point here.
So this is used in a commercial sense too, at Wimbledon and golf. So it's you can have fun with it, but you can use it for constructive learning and at a professional level. So this is one of those use cases that we're talking about when it comes to AI. Should we have another round of this?
Yeah, and it's in professional sports. It's used, I think, to sort of analyse the play, and it's an example, I think, of where computer vision, where data is incredibly important as well, and being crunched. And it's the ability to do that with artificial intelligence is a key factor. And we've talked about other use cases. I talked about Unbabble this morning and the launch of their new AI translation service. And you're seeing there where data is being used in a big way to crunch the numbers, to translate, to do many, many things, and that's really what the theme here is at the Web Summit. That was fierce, Karen. Wow.
Do you know I'm doing this deliberately? I'm trying to get you to talk so I can actually get some points here. But I think what we're hearing, and we'll take you for a bit of a walk. Thank you very much for that. What we're talking about a lot here are the use cases and where we end up with AI. And I was talking to a lot of VCs. They are being disrupted by AI in a different sense, that there's these huge raisings for these companies that have started up, say, 12 months ago. Yeah. They can't get on board. They don't have liquidity because there's been no IPOs. So even if they get on board, they're not getting the sort of returns that they would be used to. And one was saying to me like 3 to 5%, the sort of returns because of this AI hype cycle. But typically they're used to returns of thousands %. So they've been impacted in terms of returns, and because the IPO market's been so stuck, they simply don't have the money to deploy at this stage either.
And I think also with the sizes of the rounds that are happening in the private markets at the moment in terms of funding, sometimes it's going to be very hard for those VC firms with the smaller pockets to get involved in some of those funding rounds, and that makes it very difficult, I think, for those VCs to find returns. I think in the private markets you're seeing one thing, and you're seeing that, of course, mirrored in the public markets, but not so much with, of course, we haven't got sort of huge LLM publicly listed companies at this moment in terms of the models, but you're seeing that on the infrastructure level, of course, with NVIDIA and some of the other stocks related with this, the likes of Microsoft and Google and others who have spoken about their use of AI, particularly in the crowd. So right now, I think in the public markets, you're looking at infrastructure. The private markets are investing heavily in these foundational models. They're hoping one of these is going to win out.
Yeah, well, we've got another use case behind us, and that is, of course, Formula One, as we talk about using big data and using AI analytics. But I think the use cases are there. NVIDIA's been talking about the fact that there is a ton of demand, and Microsoft was talking about it as well. And, you know, I was questioning the president of Microsoft as to whether they're over-investing, because the amount of spending you're seeing from these large companies, we saw it just in recent weeks around the earnings reports. It's more in a quarter than what you used to see over the entire year in terms of capital expenditure. And I was saying, you know, are you over-investing? If we're not getting to a point where there's super intelligence or some sort of incredible outcome, are you throwing money at something that is not going to deliver returns? And his view is it's not about the next quarter, it's not about the next number of days, it's about the next 25 years, and he believes it will be quite key in terms of the direction for technology for the next 25 years, and saying, you know, look, I'd rather have a bad quarter than, say, a bad decade or something. And that is how that long-term perspective around AI is really coming into the fore for these big technology companies.
Yeah, and I think this going into 2025, what's going to be interesting is you've had all the hype of this year and last. You've seen all these new models come out. You've seen all these cloud companies talking about the billions they're investing. The key, I think, is next year, do businesses on a wider scale begin to adopt some of these AI features and implement them? A lot of what's happening at the moment is businesses are interested, they're looking at the technology, some of these co-pilots, but actually not rolling these out on a wide scale. They're stuck in the pilot phase of the equation. And do they now become, because that's really where companies like Microsoft and other cloud players are going to see the benefits there, is if these enterprises are buying more as part of their cloud services.
There's something else that jumps out. How many countries are represented here? I mean, Kosovo, Serbia, Bulgaria, the Brazilians, huge delegation. And Web Summit's very proud of the fact that there's so many countries here represented. And it's about this story. These countries do not want to be left behind. But as we talk about more trade wars potentially and tariffs, the access to chips potentially, where does that leave the likes of China and who aligns with China? Now, this was a conversation I had yesterday with the Microsoft president, Brad Smith. What happens if China catches up? Because it's been cut out of the action in terms of access to the most advanced semiconductors from the United States. Take a listen.
Certainly the merger and acquisition climate has been impacted. In some other areas, from our vantage point, in terms of exporting AI to parts of the world, even outside of China, the process has been slower than what we would have liked. You know, if there is an opportunity to increase the speed of exporting so we can bring our technology to the world faster, leave aside China, just let us bring it to the Middle East, let us bring it to Africa, let us bring it to the rest of Asia. We should get moving faster. That will be good for the United States. It will be good for the rest of the world. I do think that's something that we'd like to see.
What's your view on the obstacles still in terms of doing trade with China in terms of technology? Because the CHIPS Act has made that difficult under the Biden administration. A lot of this started with Trump. Do you think it's going to get even more challenging from here in terms of tech transfers?
I think it's too early to know. The truth is, as an American technology company, we can do business in China only when we are offering a service that the Chinese government wants to have there and the U.S. government wants us to bring there. And in some cases, they look at, say, a data center to support a Mercedes or a Siemens or a Starbucks or a General Motors. There seems to be a level of comfort. In consumer services, not really. So I suspect we're going to continue to live in a world where some technology will move to China, others will not, and we're not going to be the ones who decide. We have to navigate this world. It's the two governments that will decide.
What happens when China catches up?
Well, I think in many ways, China is close to or is even catching up. And I think one of the dangers, frankly, is that people who don't go to China too often assume that they're behind. But when you go there, you're impressed by how much they're doing. The reality is Chinese companies, American companies, China, the United States, we're going to be competing for now and into the distant future in technology, in AI. I think it's one of the reasons it's important for us as the United States, as Europe, as American and European companies to make sure we're collaborating, we're growing our economies with AI, and we're bringing AI to the rest of the world.
Brad Smith there from Microsoft. And of course, one of the other big talking points here is crypto. Crypto is back thanks to the election, and that changes the business models for a lot of companies, doesn't it, that rely on crypto?
Absolutely, and a lot of excitement about what the Trump administration will do and whether there's going to be a little bit more of a crypto-friendly environment with the US, which many in the industry have criticized under the previous administration.
Yeah, the crypto capital of the planet, I think, is what they're aiming for. But we're going to leave the coverage there because Arjun and I have some pressing business. There's no AI involved whatsoever. Good old-fashioned waffles and chocolate. Back to you, Steve.
You've burnt about 3 calories playing ping pong, and now you're going to have about 500 each on a waffle. Something's wrong.
I'm sorry, that was a workout. In fact, we were struggling to speak, both of us, because it was such a strong workout.
It was so cold, and then now I'm warmed up.
The moving around with speed to get that ball speed.
Yeah, we're trying to catch, obviously, Karen's serve was pretty
Well, you're both so fit now. When you get back, you can come for a run with me, can't you? I'm looking forward to that, both of you. Anyway, in other news, I've just checked, and bad news for camera operator Mike. There are no vacancies for camera operators on